Okay, right before I started this video, I basically went back to my approval directory here and I opened this file, and I want to save it back to disk and show you what it does. Okay, it says here certain files are in error, so we actually have to give it some information here before we can save it. We have to give it a date and denied or whatever. Okay, so now I'm going to save as just a slightly different name here, Neil 2, and then we'll close that. The reason I'm doing this is I want to show you the difference in these two files. You notice that the second file is bigger than the first one because obviously we did add a few fields, a few field values anyway. Total Commander, a nice little utility I like to use here, has a compare utility, and it will actually compare the XML on the two sides of the file here. So let me shrink it down to the video size, and then we can scroll left and right, and it will put in red what are the differences here. So you can see here we filled in the N. Walters and so on. And I was expecting it to do one more thing. It should put the MSO flag in here, and it didn't. Kind of surprised about that. Okay, so let's try one other thing here. Let's just open our info path form with the whole new data here, and let's just type in some data, and we'll make up some PO number. Make up 1, 2, 3. We need to fill in some dates. And we have to have a quantity, a part number. Okay, now let's save this. And we'll save it to that same directory just to make it easier to compare here. And I'll call it Neil 3. Okay, so now I want to compare the two most recent files here based on date time. So I'll sort by date time, and I want to compare this one and this one. Do file compare. And this is what I wanted to show you, is that this little tag here, InfoPath, will insert into a file that he creates. And it's a declarative tag. It starts with a less than sign and a question mark. And it's called MSO, I guess that's Microsoft Office dash InfoPath solution. And if we continue to scroll on over here, it will then have an H reference to the file on your disk, which is your published file. So if we scroll on over just a little bit further, see that pub XSN there? And so that was the file that I published. And of course, if you publish, you want to publish to a server drive or to SharePoint. And in my simple demo here, I just published it to my own disk. So that means it would only work for me. But the advantage of having this MSO tag in your file here is the following. When I come back to the disk now, I should be able to just click or say, oh, well, I still have to say open with InfoPath. But sometimes what it'll do, if you have InfoPath as your main tool, it will change the icon over here. So now let me say open with InfoPath. And you notice this time it didn't prompt me for what the name of the published file was. So it actually opened the XML file, it found that MSO Directive tag, and that MSO then pointed it to the published template on my disk, and now we're displaying that file with the template. So the moral of the story is that in BizTalk you could actually stick this MSO tag in the files that you write to disk in order to make it easier for people who need to use InfoPath to be able to edit these files. So in this video, just to review, what we talked about was when you save a file to disk, it definitely adds this MSO directive to the file. And what that allows you to do is open the file with InfoPath, and it automatically knows which template to use.